Welcome to Light Tackle Angler Fishing Report. I'm Captain John Foweiler, and this is Captain David King.
Well, how you doing today, John?
Good, good. Well, where do you want to start this time?
Well, today we'll start down south, and maybe we'll work our way back to the north this time. We'll kind of reverse our field.
Reverse, that's good.
Kind of like the Dolphins. No. Okay.
All right, let's start with the offshore then.
All right, well, we'll go down and we'll do a little bit off of West Palm Beach. Captain Randy on X Generation had been offshore a couple times during the week, and the best things that he saw going was we had some dolphin in about 300 feet and a few blackfin tuna mixed in. I think he saw a few sails. I didn't get reports of many sails being caught.
Right.
But the blackfins and the dolphins were kind of the mainstay in about 300 feet of water. Also, he'd been saying that there's a couple of cobias starting to show up, which is a little bit early, but you know, we've had these cold fronts coming. Maybe we're getting some of those cobia coming down. You know, some years it's December, some years January, February, March. You never really know.
Yeah, because
when they're going to show.
More of a springtime, more or less.
Right. Usually they come with the rays that comes.
Right.
Could be late January, February, March, but I think a few of the fish are breaking away and maybe coming on down. So we're getting a little show of the cobia showing up.
Good. He also said about in the inlet that the tarpon and the snook are real good. He said they still have just a tail end of that mullet run,
right?
Which is kind of just
gone from
here. Right. Exactly. They're starting to move their way offshore. So he said hook up a live mullet, kind of drift the inlet. He didn't say anything about tides. He said just when you have time to go and do it. All right, now in the Jupiter area.
Well, maybe we'll talk about Jupiter. There's a kind of the same report off Jupiter that we had off Palm Beach. You've got that pretty water starting to come in, that we've had some settled weather. We're getting a little bit nicer water everywhere now, especially in Jupiter and Palm Beach where they have that Gulf Stream water. They've been doing dolphin in about 350 feet or in. Also, they are getting some good sized ones, you know, 10, 15 pounds.
Right.
What we call yankers or light gaffers, but they're not really gaffers, and they're a little bit too big to yank, so that's that in-between size, at 10 to 15 pounds. They've been doing good on the bottom, fishing in about 120 feet for the yellowtails. A lot of the drift boats are doing good on them. The other thing they're talking about is our water temperatures down there.
Right.
We're not seeing these temperatures here, but out in about 80 feet, their water temperatures are 76 feet just inshore of the Gulf Stream. Now out in the Gulf Stream in 120 feet, they're up to 82, so you've got that warm blue water, you know, from the Gulf Stream, which is, you know, really good. 82 degrees for this time of the year is great.
Yes. All right, inshore, they're talking about snook and jacks. One of the few places they didn't talk much about pompano. They said look for the glass minnows. The glass minnows are the key. The jacks and the snook just seem to follow those.
Yeah, that's one of their favorite baits too.
Yeah, everything loves those glass minnows.
Plus, I think you see those fish feeding them, then you got the pieces falling down, you've got the pompano and the stuff on the bottom, the croakers and all that'll start coming along too.
Exactly. Let's see, what else? Now, Stuart, John B. Fly Shop in Light Tackle says, he said they're pompano in the stored area, in the inlets. They've been coming in real strong. He said when you're using your pompano jig, you might get lucky and catch a bonefish. He said there were good reports of bonefish. That's kind of neat,
That's kind of neat. You know, usually Miami, as you start going farther north, it gets less and less.
Right.
An occasional fish off Fort Pierce, that's a really good sign for this time of the year.
That would be neat.
Winter.
I've never caught a bonefish up this way.
That's amazing.
That's really neat. Let's see, what else did he have to say? He said you can also use shrimp, and they're catching them just as well as the jigs. Offshore, Stuart?
Offshore, Stuart, we haven't heard a lot. Some of the recreational guys did the same thing kind of that they did off Jupiter. You're getting a few dolphin that are doing that last-minute migration down back to the south.
Right.
You know, they've been up north all summer. They're starting to work their way back down. We didn't really hear reports of the sails like we had been in the past weeks. But we really didn't talk to as many charter boats. Some of the recreational boats did good on the Kings on the bar too. So it's been dolphin and Kings is the reports we've been hearing out of Stuart.
Really good. Out of Fort Pierce, Captain Scott Feldman, he said ladyfish are just overly abundant. A few pompano and a few snook are biting. But those ladyfish are great fun.
Right.
I enjoy catching them. I don't keep many fish anyway, but they are so much fun to catch. They jump and they just go wild.
Right. Mr. Shaw, a friend of mine, stops in. He goes about twice a week. He usually launches around Big Mud, Little Mud. Every place he went, there was ladyfish. He got a few trout when the lure got past the ladyfish, but I think the ladyfish were having a super ladyfish migration.
Yes, they are thick.
So ladyfish, if you really want ladyfish, you need to be there.
Yes, exactly. Offshore?
Offshore Fort Pierce, we're getting the same kind of reports on the bar, 55 feet to 75 feet. Kingfish has been a mainstay. We're getting some of that prettier water starting to move in on the bar. Actually, behind us now, we're here in Fort Pierce, you can see the watercolor's a lot better, so we're getting more of that pretty water starting to move towards shore. That'll bring a few kingfish in on the beach. Offshore, that's the same thing. We've got the dolphin in 75, 85, 90 feet with a few sailfish mixed in. I didn't get reports of any cobia here yet. They might have went by here and went down south, but kingfish, dolphin, sailfish have kind of been the mainstay, with dolphin kind of like the highlight and kingfish the highlight. Now the pods of bait that had started showing up, I heard it was a little bit tough to get the last couple days, but you just have to look for the gannets and the birds right now, and they should be wherever the pods have. You got the pilchards and the greenies, which should be showing up any day offshore now.
Great.
So that's kind of the report here, kingfish, dolphin, sails out of Fort Pierce. Bottom fishing, I didn't really get a lot of reports. The few boats that went did good on the lane snapper, starting to show up pretty good.
Oh, good.
I think that water temperature going down will bring those lanes. Last week they got the lanes good down south. Maybe we're starting to see them here off Fort Pierce now. So you got the lanes, the mangrove snappers, and the bottom fish.
Well, a lot of the people down south, when I asked them about the bottom fish, they said that most people want to go after the sails and the dolphin because it was nicer weather, so they could get out. So they spent less time out, out in the deeper water than bottom fishing.
Right.
So
yeah, hopefully the days to come, you're going to see that bottom fish activity get better and better as we get this. We had so much turbulent weather there for a while that this water quality really makes a difference on bottom fishing.
Exactly. All right, Sebastian. Captain Mike Mayer, he said the flounder are starting to show up in Sebastian, up in the inlet. This is about the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas is a great time for those big doormats to move in.
Right.
He said the jacks, of course, and the redfish in the inlet, and a few snook. I think we'll get a lot less reports on snook now because the water's just getting too cold.
Right. Plus, you'll have a little push of people towards the end of the season here start to.
That's true.
Into that last, was it a month or three? What's it? December 15th.
15th.
So, the water quality goes down. You'll see those fish around the Turning Basin a lot here too. I think you'll have some warmer water there.
Right.
The few reports, Sebastian, they'll probably be the same thing in a little bit deeper water, maybe in the inlets versus than they were on the bar.
Well, we would like to thank. We had a couple captains write some reports on the internet site. So we want to thank them for doing this, and we're going to repeat their reports. Captain Charlie Connor, he said, he's out of Fort Pierce. He said, of course, the ladyfish were going crazy, but he found out that in the afternoon, he's been fishing some mangrove shorelines, and he said the redfish are really starting to go off. They're warming up. He's letting it wait till more midday.
Right, when that sun gets overhead, maybe?
Right, to warm up the water, and they're moving up in like real skinny water, 1 to 2 feet, he said. Let's see what else. That the pompano are real good down by the power plant. He said they've been skipping all around. He's been fishing the bars for those pompano. And also Captain Mark Wright. He's up in the North Indian River, as far as it is north, up in just north of Cocoa Beach and the Mosquito Lagoon. He said that they're black drum up there and they're starting to school.
Wow.
And he found those in 1 to 2 feet of water. And again, it was more 10, 11, 12 o'clock.
You can sleep in.
You can sleep in.
Right, there you go.
And when it started warming up, he said he had really good action until that afternoon sea breeze kicked in, and then he kind of lost the fish because he couldn't sight fish them anymore. He was talking about catching black drum on plastics,
right,
which is kind of unusual. The water temp up there is, what did he say, 64, 65, so it's kind of pretty chilly. It's definitely the wintertime pattern. So we thank you, captains, for sending in the reports.
Okay. Yeah, also we'd like to tell you, if you have any pictures or any reports that you'd like to report to us, you can report to us on the lighttackleangler.com website, or we'd be more than glad for you to give us a call and give us a report, especially towards the end of the week, maybe Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That way on the midweek when we have our report, we'll have a good fresh report for the upcoming week.
Right.
You can call our phone numbers if you'd like. John's number is 772-979-5526, and mine, David, is 772-979-6068. You know, if you've got a good report, just what you've caught, some patterns you've seen, or something you've noticed about the bait, we'd love to have that, you know, to pass on to the anglers. So please give us some pictures or some good fishing reports, and we'll get your name mentioned and maybe your picture on the
That'd
website.
be great. Yes. Well, we thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thanks again, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.